Hi, it's Chef and Builder JD Pendleton. We're back in the kitchen where I'm going to teach you how to make my cream of mushroom soup. You're going to love this soup. It's very dark, rich, and hearty. There's actually no cream in this soup unless you wish to add it. We will be canning this soup, and we do have our jar sterilized and ready to go. It is a gluten-free soup, so I think that you're really going to enjoy this recipe. So let's go ahead and let's start by washing the mushrooms and doing some of the other pre-prep work. We got to chop our mushrooms. You don't really want to can up a whole mushroom. You want to make sure to at least quarter it, okay? So come on, let's get started. Alright, so we're back. If you hear some bubbling in the background, that's my jar sterilizing in the pressure canner. Now while those are sterilizing, I've got all my kitchen clean and sterilized as well, and all wiped down with a Clorox wipe. Now here's our ingredients for our cream of mushroom soup. My cream of mushroom soup is not going to have actually any cream in it. Not this recipe. I actually made this 3 years ago and I like it better than the one that I made last year. So we're going to make it, instead of it looking like this will be a much darker, richer color. It's one of my favorite recipes for it. If you're worried about canning cream, don't worry about this recipe because you're going to be just fine. Alright, so again, the reason why I'm canning cream of mushroom soup is because I want to replace having to buy these cans of cream of mushroom soup. I want to know where the ingredients come from. Other than the mushrooms, pretty much everything came from me anyway. So what we're going to start out with was we're going to talk about how to thicken this. You could thicken this with clear gel, but as you can see, I'm all out. I just washed my jar the other day, so I'm all out of clear gel, and I get mine from berryfarmfoods.com, and I forgot to order it. When I ordered my gluten-free flours, I forgot to order it. But we can still use the arrowroot powder again, or you can use ThermFlow. Either one works. I will tell you that ThermFlow is a modified cornstarch, alright? Arrowroot powder, however, is gluten-free. So if you want to go gluten-free, or you have problems with corn like I do, then go with the arrowroot powder. Alright, so we have our thickener of our choice now. We've got that figured out what we're going to use. So what I have here are some different ideas of broths. And I decided to go ahead and go with my home canned beef stock. You can go right here and get that video on how to make my homemade beef stock. The difference between beef stock and beef broth is that my vegetables and my meat was roasted before I simmered it for many hours, getting all that collagen and bone marrow out. Here we also are adding some ham base. This is just a broth base, okay, and I like the flavor of the ham base. We are also adding some of my homemade beef base. And this is just really good stuff. And this is when I actually dehydrated it when it was darker. See the color difference? Now here, we are going to be using my mushroom powder from my dehydrated mushrooms. I've told you, in restaurants, we pay a lot of money for mushroom powder. And all it is the stems, the part that most people throw away. It's just the stems dehydrated and then put in a coffee mill or some sort of a food processor. And this smells, it almost has like a unique coffee smell to it. And you can make this mushroom powder. Just dehydrate it, like I said, put it through the coffee grinder or what have you, and make it yourself. Absolutely delicious, and all I did was vacuum seal it. We're going to be getting into mushroom season soon. Here I have a couple of branches of my thyme, and we're going to be using that. You can put this into a small piece of cheesecloth or something as well, so you're able to pull this back out if you don't want the stems in there, or else you'll be searching for them. Or you can put this, crush it up and put it in like a tea ball. Okay. We're going to be using canning salt for this recipe. Sure and use canning salt. Also going to be using, for the beta carotene in this one, we're going to be doing the same as we did with the cream of celery soup. We are going to be adding the vegetable broth. Okay. We're also going to be using a high-grade extra virgin olive oil. I just feel like that's important to the taste of your soups. We're going to be using 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. That is unsalted butter. some pre-cracked black pepper. I already got this all ground up and cracked and put in here, so I wouldn't have to sit here and do this in front of you. We're also going to be using my dehydrated red onions, and again, I don't have any white left, or I'd be using the whiter, more pungent onions, but all I had left was the red. And then the same for my dehydrated garlic. Now the reason why I do my own garlic and onions and vacuum seal these up, be sure when you dehydrate this stuff, be sure to do it outside. It is way too strong to do it inside. This stuff right here, just working with it and powdering it up outside, I was still smelling it in my house. It was coming through the patio door. My house stunk for like 2 weeks. It was in the curtains. I had to take the curtains down in the dining room and wash them. It was so strong smelling. This is almost as bad, but not as bad as all that garlic. You can put an oxygen absorber in here, and that will help keep the moisture out. But anyway, these are my ingredients, okay? Now, if there's an ingredient that you're missing here, that's fine. Don't go out and just buy a real expensive thing of beef base or whatever. I will tell you it makes a big difference, but if you have it, use it. If you don't, just be sure and use a really good beef stock. And I do suggest adding the vegetable stock. This adds some beautiful color, it adds some great flavor, and this adds all those great vitamins and minerals that you need. And this adds all that nice collagen and protein and things that you need in your cream soups. And you'll need some citric acid as well. I gotta go dig that out for the mushrooms. As far as the cranberry juice goes, you can use sherry in this. Alcohol, but so here I'm exchanging the cran-cherry juice for the sherry, and this really just, again, it adds color, and this really sets off the flavor. But you can use a good cooking sherry if you want. That's fine. Okay, now let's discuss the mushrooms that we are going to be using in here. There's so many different types of mushrooms. From the here we have some beautiful sliced portobello. And these right here are great in mushroom soup. We have some really good salad style what we call button mushrooms, and they're pre-sliced. They had some of these pre-sliced. And then this is the exact same thing. These are the same mushrooms. They're just called button mushrooms. That's what we call them here in Indiana. And here they are whole. So here they are whole, and here they are sliced. But you can see for the money, you know, the sliced version really collapses a lot. You're actually getting almost this, you're getting more this way if you pre-slice them. So you're paying for somebody else to slice your mushrooms. Now here we have some baby bella, or what they call creminini. And these are darker. And the color tones in the skin of these are really going to give our soups some really nice, rich color. All right, now these are called porcini, and the porcinis are they're a really fine gourmet dehydrated mushroom. Now sometimes people will tell you not to use dehydrated mushrooms when you're canning because they'll swell, but that's because they didn't put them in water and soak them for 10 to 20 minutes prior. And the water, the hot water poured over these mushrooms when they're dehydrating, that's usable in the soup. It's absolutely delicious. And if you have any left over, you could actually pour it on your plants, and it actually helps your plants, especially if you have herbs indoors in the wintertime. It's a really great fertilizer for the herbs. It's a great way to give them a nice nutrient boost. So, but the porcini mushrooms are dehydrated, and I got 3 packets of those, okay? And I'm going to use all 3 of these because when I dehydrate these, I'm going to get that mushroom liqueur, the mushroom liquor. Then again, that's a really pricey thing to have in your soup. So do not pitch it. Do not pitch the water that your mushroom's soaked in. Okay, so what you want to do here then is you want to be sure and get some darker mushrooms. This is what's going to add color and that richness to your soup. If you get a lot of light colored mushrooms, you can see it in a darker, juicier soup. So you'll be able to see these mushrooms floating around inside that darker broth. And that's why I got a variety of mushrooms. There's also shiitake mushrooms that you can use. You can use oyster mushrooms that are absolutely delicious for this. And honey, let me tell you something, okay? We are in the middle of central Indiana here. We have woods all around us. You can go and watch John and I walk through the woods on a lot of our videos. Matter of fact, I'll post that bugging out video here where we walk through the woods. And you can see we're an ideal place. Okay, we have them growing in our yard. The big mushroom poof balls, you can eat those. Be sure and look that up and make sure you identify your mushroom first. You don't want to eat anything poisonous. But we know our mushrooms up here pretty well in central Indiana. And we get the morels. Oh my goodness. You know, if you've ever had a fried morel mushroom, there's no going back. They're absolutely delicious. We keep them in the freezer and they're absolutely delicious. So there's a number of ways that you can get your mushrooms, okay? This is definitely more expensive doing it this way. But don't count that out because they're already pre-soaked, they're pre-cooked in here, pre-canned. So if you want to make your mushroom soup quickly, add these to your soup. Actually, I'm putting these away. I'm not going to be using these today. I just wanted to show you an example. All right, so we've rattled on enough. I just wanted you to really get an idea of what you could use in your mushroom soup, how to get that rich, dark coloring. I mean, at one time this was beef broth, and look how dark and rich that coloring is. And that's what I'm going for here. And so again, this recipe is tried and true. I've canned it before. It's absolutely delicious. And if you would like to, now keep in mind at this stage, everything I've showed you so far is gluten-free. I have to be gluten-free, so everything here is gluten-free. And I think that's an important step that you need to know right up front. This is a gluten-free recipe. 100%. No problemo. You can have this. Arrowroot powder is gluten-free. Now some people have problems with corn, so you can't always use the clear gel because it's a modified cornstarch, and you can't use the ThermFlow like me because I'm sensitive to corn. You'll see I don't put corn in any of my cooking. It just really bothers me. All right, so here's another issue here. Cream of mushroom soup. Well, we know with my celery soup, and if you go there and watch that video, cream of celery soup, you know that I put in the heavy whipping cream, and I made it lactose-free by putting in the lactose-free whole milk. Okay, I just poured maybe a half of the ratio of this to what I used in this. And that made a great cream soup. I'll show that to you again. And you can see here that made for a really great cream of celery soup. But I'm telling you, you can add this when you open up the can of cream of mushroom soup as well. And that's the difference between my recipe from 3 years ago and the recipe that I canned last year that you see me put in a lot of my casseroles. My cream of mushroom soup you see me put in the casseroles. It had the half and half. It wasn't heavy whipping cream. I actually put half and half in it. And it had my lactose-free milk in it. And that's fine. But I figured you can always add this in the recipe. If you really want to reconstitute this soup, you can add a little heavy whipping cream and you can add that into your casseroles. But for the recipe for eating a mushroom soup straight up, and with the money that I'm putting into all of this with all the expensive mushrooms and things, let's be realistic here. There's some really expensive ingredients here that I'm putting in that a restaurant would consider this would be a pretty expensive soup to make. I really don't want to cover the flavor up of the mushrooms with the heavy cream. I just don't want to do it here. I want that mushroom flavor. So again, you can add the cream and dip it in and out, and you can thicken it with the cream. But as for me, I think I'm going to thicken this with just some straight up beef stock, add that back into the pot, and get it thickened that way. Now remember, I'm canning this, so I have to be careful how thick I actually can this. And I'm going to make it a little thicker than I did for the cream of celery soup. I think the cream of celery soup needed to be a little thicker. I could have went one more. I should have went with almost a cup of the arrowroot powder. So I'm going to learn from that. Figure out how many quarts I am in here. I got 8 quarts of the cream of celery soup to 3/4 of a cup of, or 3/8 of a cup, excuse me, of the arrowroot powder. And I think that I could have went with a half cup or more of the arrowroot powder. I should have went with a little bit more. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. And I hope that you understand what I'm saying here. The reason why I wanted to show you these ingredients is I wanted you to see the natural ingredients that I plan on putting in here. and you can put in whatever you like, but I'm actually putting a little bit of time in mine. All right, so I'm sorry this part's so long, but I made some promises to some of my viewers that I would take more time showing the ingredients, and I would make the videos a little longer, which I thought was crazy because everybody wanted me to make them so short. You know, I've got an attention span of a 12-year-old. You know, make it 3 to 6 minutes long and we'll watch it. But I think I realized that listening to the people who are actually my subscribers was more important than me getting new subscribers. And the new subscribers just seem to be following right into play. So I'm listening to you, okay? So if you have comments or suggestions or questions, I'm listening. I'm here, I'm listening to you, I'm answering your comments. So be sure and leave a comment below. Be sure and share this video, share any of my videos. Hit the thumbs up if YouTube will let you. And let me know how I'm doing, okay? Let me know if you like this recipe. Let me know if you tried it. And be sure and give me credit if you do make a video on it or you share the recipe. Be sure and give me credit because this is my recipe. I mean, you can tell this is my recipe. You're not going to find another one like this. This is just the Crazy Jane recipe, okay? But it's crazy good, okay? Yesterday, somebody wrote me yesterday and they said, "Oh my God, I've made a couple of your dishes and they were crazy good." And I had to smile. And then I got it again on my honey mustard, my sweet and hot, my hot and sweet mustard. A lady wrote me yesterday as well, and she said crazy delicious. So that's a compliment to me. So that means it was out of this world, and that's what I want to hear. All right, so I think we got everything covered. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Now let's get making this soup. Trust me, it won't take very long. Okay. With either distilled water or with this reverse osmosis water, I'm just going to fill up about, let's see, I got 3 of these and I need to rehydrate this, so I need probably about 2 to 3 cups of water. I'll just put extra in here and I'll have me a cup of tea while I wait when this is canning later. Now I want to show you. And I did a review on this last week, and I don't think I got the review posted. But this, and I will post it, and when I do, I'll put the link right here. But this is my new Fapaware kettle. You turn it on, and it goes from room temperature water to boiling, really hard boiling water in under 1 minute. And this just came out of the refrigerator. So this might take maybe about 1.25 minutes, minute and a half. Okay? And we'll have us a good old cup of tea while we wait. Now when this is warm, not boiling but warm, we're going to pour the water over this until we get about 3 cups of liquid, and we are going to use this in our soup. And these are dehydrated, they're clean. You do not have to wash these, that's fine. They've already been washed and dehydrated. Now let me tell you something about porcini mushrooms. Okay, now porcini mushrooms in German are called Steinpilz. Steinpilz. And that's the German word for these. And it means, or even in Italian, porcini means little pigs. Because they're such fat, round little mushrooms before they're dehydrated. They're a nice fat mushroom. So, like I said, in Italian, they are called porcini, which means little pigs. Because they're so plump. And these are found, by the way, on the forest floor. And even a lot of people will even use actual pigs to root some different types of mushrooms up. And I'm sure you've seen that. Remember the movie, the Cinderella movie, Ever After? Remember she had the hog before she went swimming and he was rooting up mushrooms. So, but these are found on the forest floor as well. So that's what these are. And like I said, the Germans call them Steinpilz. Steinpilz. So they have a, if I had to categorize them, I wish you had smell-o-vision. This smells very similar to the dehydrated mushroom powder that I was talking about. But these have a very earthy, kind of a heady aroma to them. They're a great accomplishment to meat and poultry. They're really good in like risottos, omelets, polenta. So these are just some things that you can put them in on pizzas. Just rehydrate them, and it takes about maybe 20 minutes for them to rehydrate. quite there yet. See how fast that boiled there? You don't want to get too hot. And I got another little surprise to show you here in a minute as well. A little something that I'm going to be giving away. I thought about buying another one of these and giving it away as one of my prizes for my 10,000 subscriber contest. But I have another. Here, I'll just show it to you. See this? This is my silicone hen. It just slips on the side of a pot or a pan, and no more spoon rest. I mean, anything and everything fits in here. And now my spoons will drip directly into the pot. See how that just fits right in here like that? And see that? Even my wooden spoons fit in here as well. Just push them forward a little bit, and then they'll drip right off into the pan. Isn't that just cool? Right? Okay, it's not too hot yet. Before I boil it for my tea, I'm going to go ahead and cover these. Now remember, these are going to swell up, so you want the extra water in there. Look how nice and simple that was. Isn't that awesome? All right, now I need these to soak and to sit down in here, so we're going to sit a heavy plate on there. There we go. We just sit it in there just like that right there, and we're going to time this for 20 minutes. And remember, we're going to keep the juice from this because this is that mushroom liquor that I was talking about. You want to make sure that these have rehydrated to their maximum because we don't want these swelling up inside the canner and the canning jar and popping those lids off or breaking our seals. So we want to make sure these are nice and rehydrated. Never can a dehydrated mushroom that hasn't been rehydrated to its full extension, okay? We're going to set that aside. And again, we're just going to put a cover on that to keep them nice and warm. And meanwhile, we're going to go over here and we are going to wash and slice our mushrooms. A mushroom this size, you can quarter them if you want larger mushrooms, or you can chop them. With canning, it is a density problem, so I'm probably going to slice these a little bit smaller. Here, let me give you an example. Okay, this right here is about how big that I'm going to make them. These right here will can up nicely. Remember, they're going to do some shrinking when we pre-cook these in a little bit of olive oil and butter. So yeah, that's the size that we're going to be making these, okay? All right, I'm going to get all these washed up and chopped and sprinkled with a little bit of the citric acid, and we will be right back. You know, we are getting sub-zero weather today, so today is a great day for making soup. So just get up early and start making soup. All right, I want to show this to you. I did get some of the Fruit Fresh, which is citric acid, and we are going to keep this and put this on the clean mushrooms to keep them from turning colors. I may want a dark rich soup, but I don't want bruised looking mushrooms. So we're going to start by washing our mushrooms gently in a room temperature bath. And just brush off any dirt. For the most part, they're pretty clean, but you never know what water source they actually came from. So okay, we're just going to wash them up really well here. And we're going to put them on paper towel to drain. Get all the parts, it's all good. It can all go in the soup. If you have to, use your mushroom scrubber. I got a special scrubber here just for my mushrooms and vegetables. And we're going to cut these bad spots off in just a minute. They feel a little slimy when they get wet. Just give them an extra rubbing. Do not use soap on them. Not necessary. Make sure they're clean in the gills. We are going to slice these tips off right here. Right in here is where the dirt can hide, right underneath there. Okay, here's where we just take a little bit of this Fruit Fresh or this citric acid and we just give it a little sprinkle. That's enough. And then we're just going to kind of toss that in. Cover it up with a clean cloth. All right, so I've just got the heat here turned on low, and we're going to start by adding 3 tablespoons of butter to the bottom of this pot. Okay, and here I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And remember, I told you this is a better grade olive oil. You do not want to use the cheap stuff for this. Just going to toss in the mushrooms. I'm just going to give these a toss and get them coated with the butter and the olive oil. And we're just going to let these sweat down. Ooh, wow, now I'm smelling them. Smells like a mushroom pizza in here right now. You like mushroom pizza? It's one of my favorites. Okay, and here we have the other mushrooms that have been soaking. They actually end up soaking for almost 30 minutes. I wanted to make sure that they were, and you got to get a load of this juice that's on here. You can see this. Do you see this? Are these rehydrated? And get a load of the coloring on this, okay? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to just kind of strain this out just like this. And we're just going to add these to the pot. Going to squeeze out the juice. And we are going to add this mushroom juice here in a minute. I'm going to get all the mushrooms out of here the best I can. I want them all to get some of that butter and olive oil flavoring to them. You see the coloring on that? I'll hold my hand underneath here so you can see just how dark that is. Beautiful. This is called mushroom liquor. Okay, they're starting to sweat nicely. I'm getting some coloring coming off of here. This ended up being just probably about 2 quarts of sliced mushrooms by the time it's cooking down here. Again, that's about 2 quarts of mushrooms total. Or anything that's this big, well here, anything that's this big, you might want to kind of break down a little bit. The ones that rehydrated got pretty. Okay, those are sweating nicely. I'll let them go for probably about 6 minutes total. Don't you just love cream of mushroom soup? And this is what's going to be in my casseroles. This is what you see. This is what I make when I do my casseroles. When I say I make my homemade cream of mushroom soup, now you know the love that goes into just that part alone. The labor intensiveness of it. I'm going to sweat these a little bit more. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt to these. That'll help them sweat. Okay, here is my home dehydrated garlic. I don't want to put that over the steam there for you for too long. I'm going to add 1, 2.5 teaspoons of my home dehydrated garlic powder. And I'm going to add 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of my red onion, dehydrated red onion flakes. Ooh, that smells strong. Woo! Very concentrated stuff. Remember, again, we're just keeping this on low. Okay, I'm going to add some ground black pepper to this. About a teaspoon. And I'm going to add another teaspoon of salt. Okay, here I have a couple of branches of thyme. I'm just going to take each branch here. Now you can just put the whole thing in and then pull these out, but I have a hard time finding them whenever I make this type of soup. So I'm just going to go ahead and rub it in my fingers. I know the branch has flavor, some really good strong flavor in it, but I'm not going to do it with this particular soup. This is going to be about 1/4 teaspoon of thyme altogether. Again, I don't want anybody eating branches in their soup. Put that in. Oh wow, I can really smell that. That's really strong because that was from my garden. That's a really good way to take you back to summer memories right there, is in the herbs. Oh, this just smells so good in here. I just know my husband's not going to sleep through this morning. Okay, now we're going to add some of my mushroom powder. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of it right there. That's going to give it the wow factor right there. A couple of teaspoons of my ham base. Make sure there's no lumps in that. This gets lumpy easy because there's no preservatives in it. And that's fine. Still good. Just where my house is a little moist in the winter. Ham broth base. Don't want to add too much. Told you this is going to be dark. Wait till you try this. I'm going to do a heaping tablespoon of my beef base. That's a heaping tablespoon of the beef base. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, these have sweated down nicely. I think we're ready to go ahead and add our liquids. I think we've melded the flavors good enough together here. I wish I had smell-o-vision here. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Alright, so what we're going to add in next is we're going to add in this mushroom juice, this mushroom liquor. That's what they call that right there. Next, I'm going to add in my vegetable broth. See that? Nice rich color of that as well. This will add that beta carotene. I've added a lot of really good rich flavors to this. And then next, we are going to add my home canned beef stock. We smell it first. That one's stuck on there. Here's another quart. So that's 2 quarts of beef stock so far and a pint of vegetable stock. I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup of the cranberry juice. Not much. Trust me, it doesn't take much. Get my heat back up again. I'm going to bring this up to simmer, and I'm going to simmer this for about 20 to 25 minutes, and we will be back here then. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, there's still a lot of mushrooms sitting on the bottom of this. I'm going to go ahead and add my the rest of this beef stock. So that ended up being 3 quarts of beef stock. And I thought this needed a little bit more of the cranberry juice flavor. Remember what I always say, get some tasting spoons here before you start adding a bunch of other stuff and give this a taste. That's really good. I think I might put just a little bit more of the cranberry juice, just a little bit. Just a hair bit more. And I felt that it needed more garlic. So I'm just going to put in just a little bit more garlic. Not much though. Not much. And again, these flavors are going to get stronger in a minute. Never can have enough garlic, can you? And I thought it needed more salt. This is where you start adding the spices and start playing around with it. I thought it had plenty of pepper. Believe it or not, I really tasted that teaspoon of pepper in here. I must have got a mouthful, so I'm going to give it a second chance here as soon as I stir it in. Just take another clean spoon, dip from way down in there, try again. That is absolutely delicious. Again, strong on the pepper. So I would probably reduce the pepper just a little bit from what I put in here. And I still say it needed more salt. So that's almost about a tablespoon. Let's see, so 3. So it's about a tablespoon and a half of salt. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on this, and I'm going to simmer this for about 30 minutes. And I'll see you back here in 30 minutes. Okay, our 30 minutes are up. We let this reduce to about 5 3/4 quarts here. It was a little over 6 quarts, so it went down about a pint in reduction. I'm just going to scoop some of this out like this right here. Let that cool for just a minute, and we'll be back. We're going to let that cool enough so I can give it a taste. Just a little bit of warm juice, not much. Most of that. Alright, and I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of my arrowroot powder. Is that okay? And this is going to turn clear. It won't stay milky like this once it's cooked. Even if it doesn't, that's fine. Make sure there's no lumps, because the lumps is the density problem that we have with canning. And you see how this is lightly bubbling, just lightly bubbling. That's how we want this. I'm going to turn it this way so I can be towards you when I do this. Now, I've added a little bit of water in here to cool the broth down. I'm going to pick up some of that broth, give it a swirl, and then quickly give it a stir. Just like that right there. Turn up my heat just a little bit. Just back up to a bubble. See how that was nice and clear still? See how nice and dark and rich this is though? That wasn't near enough. So just like with the celery soup, we're going to do it again. Dip out a little bit of this broth, and I'm going to add some water to it and cool it down a bit. And we're going to add another 1/2 cup that arrowroot powder. I'm going to stir this, but not over the pot. Let's come back up to a boil. Look at it again. For an Asian version of the soup, this right here is a really nice consistency right here. Remember, we're canning this. We don't want to go too thick, and we're not going to add the cream to this. If you want to add cream to this, you can add cream to this, and mix it in just right before you put it in a casserole or eat it as a soup. Or I'm gonna mix that down in there. Let's see how we do this time. Oh yeah, that's much thicker. This arrowroot powder, like I said, you can use the Therm Flow or you can use Clear Gel. Therm Flow and Clear Gel are similar. Clear Gel is a modified cornstarch, and Therm Flow is the waxy part of the maize of the cornstarch, or the modified cornstarch. So they're very, very similar. The Amish always use Clear Gel or Therm Flow. But again, I want to make this corn-free and gluten-free. Some people are sensitive to corn, so just use that arrowroot powder. That is fine. This was a total cup of the arrowroot powder. And I think I got it right there. I like that. That's nice right there. I'm going to let this come up back up to a boil. I'm going to boil it for 3 minutes. Turn that off. And we are done. Let's get a spoonful of this and let's see how that looks. Matter of fact, I'll just use this right here. Let's see how that looks. See the thickness on that? That's still perfect for canning, and it's perfect for soup. Perfect. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get a dipper full of this. Be careful, you don't want this to burn on the bottom. I need to remove this from the heat. Kind of set this up off the heat a little bit. I'm just going to get a little bit of this soup. Now, this soup, you can see that, this soup is really good just like it is. See that? All the different porcini mushrooms and the button mushrooms, and they rehydrated really nicely. But, that is so good. This is just, honey, you can't get this out of a can at the store. You just can't do it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a little bit of whipping cream. It's what I had in the refrigerator. That's about how much you would add ratio to ratio if you were going to make this a cream of mushroom soup. Okay. And this is how you make this a creamy mushroom soup. I just personally wouldn't can it with the cream in it. I just feel like over time it just tastes a little different once you can it and you open it. But look at the coloring of this to add the cream. Just add a little bit of cream to it. When you're getting ready to add it to your casserole, or when you're getting ready to make your beef stroganoff, or you're getting ready to serve it and you just want to cream it up. It's delicious without the cream. But I just want to try this with the cream. Let me get some mushrooms here. This is very hot. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm a genius. That is absolutely, and I never compliment myself. I have almost 400 videos on YouTube. And I have to tell you, I'm a genius. This is like that lady that said that my my sweet hot mustard was crazy delicious. This is crazy delicious. Oh my goodness. Oh, you could probably even put a little bit more cream in here than that and make it even maybe a little bit more creamier. I don't even know if you can improve on perfection here. I don't even think you can improve on the perfection. Since you're canning this, you don't want to make this much thicker than this, than what I already had it here, since we are canning it. But again, you can, what I like to do is remove this out of the pint jar, get the amount that I would normally use for a casserole, and then add a little bit of whipping cream to it, whip it up, and then you can even add a little bit more cornstarch or something at that stage, or a little Sure-Gel or Thermflow, and then add it back in, and then add it like I normally do. That's how I get my cream of mushroom soup so thick in the videos, is I actually add more cream and I cream mine up. But this is my go-to recipe. This is the recipe that I made up a few years ago. I even made some few adjustments today when I put the ham base in it and the vegetable broth, and I'm glad I made that decision. Oh my gosh, that's the best mushroom soup I've ever had. I'm not just saying it, you guys. This is the best mushroom soup I've ever had. You would do yourself a disservice not to try this if you love mushroom soups. I promise you that. With or without the cream, it's good. But with that cream in there, it adds that creamy depth. The thyme, I can taste a little bit of the thyme. You do get a little bit of that once in a while, but it's the different variety of mushrooms. They just pop in your mouth. This is so good, I'm gonna go wake my husband up to try it. Oh, shame on me. I'll be right back. And we're gonna can this up. 10 pounds of pressure. For my altitude, I'm under 1,000 feet above sea level. And 15 pounds of pressure if you're probably above that. Check the ball canning guide in your local 4-H extension or home extension office, and they'll tell you your altitude if you're not sure. And you're gonna can this for pints, okay? For pints. For 45 minutes. And for quarts, you're going to go 55 to 60 minutes for quarts. And 1.5 pints you want to treat like quarts. So you're going to go that full quart time as well. I'm in love. That's the best thing I've ever made. Oh my gosh. I'm in love, I'm in love. And you know what? I was worried about the saltiness. But once I added that cream, that balanced that out. So if you're going to add the cream, maybe go a little saltier. If you're not going to add the cream, then don't add as much salt. But again, I wouldn't add the cream for the actual canning of it. I think that ruins the flavor and gives the cream almost a burnt flavor in this. And you don't want to ruin this mushroom flavor. You do not want to ruin it. Okay, sorry I can't stop. That is so good. I know what I'm having for breakfast, okay? The sun's still not up yet, and we're still trying to can here. So we will be back here when we're done canning this. And we want to thank you for coming along for the ride. Be sure and hit that subscribe button for more really delicious and easy recipes like this. These are not very many ingredients at all. You can do this. And okay, oh my goodness. Bye. Blessings. Oh, be sure and hit the share button. If you like this video, share it, because the more the merrier. I just love having you guys along for the ride. We got our 10,000 subscriber contest coming up. We have some more live on the air shows with my husband for Prepper series. We have more Maranatha Minutes. We have, of course, this right here for my canning series, and we have more Homestead series coming up since spring's coming up. So just a lot going on, and we're going to be opening up the greenhouse soon as well. Cream of chicken soup's next. So, so stay tuned and hit that subscribe button, because you have to be subscribed in order to win the 10,000 subscriber contest. And trust me, I have some really good presents. This is just one of the addition presents, is this cute little silicone chicken spoon holder for the side of the pot. All right? This is Chef and Builder Janie Pendleton. Blessings. Hit that subscribe button. Again, I'm just going to can this up without the cream in it. I'm going to can this up with a 1/2 inch headspace to about 3/4 of an inch. I wouldn't go any more than that though. Husband absolutely loved this. Was it worth waking up to get a bite of it, John?
Yes, it's wonderful. And it's very versatile. You can either have it with the cream or without the cream.
Which way did you like it better, with the cream or without?
I thought both ways were excellent. But it just depends on what you're making. If you're making, you know, a different kind of dish that you'd like it creamy, it could really
like a beef stroganoff. I mean, you could just add a little sour cream to that and you'd have would be the same.
Yeah, and then you don't have to worry about the issue with the cream and the canning.
Yeah.
Just when you reconstitute it, just like when you reconstitute soup.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a choice with this. This was so delicious. Now, let me tell you something. I mean, you like cream of mushroom soup. Do you think this is not one of the best cream of mushroom soups you've ever had?
It's the best cream of mushroom soup I ever had.
And you're not just, one lady says you give me 10s every time. You're just so sweet. And I said, no, that's stuff, you really do like it. Usually you're pretty honest with me if you like something or not.
It's great.
Well, awesome. So I don't feel guilty for waking you up to try it this morning then. And we're going to use this hot water. Put it down in here. You can use vinegar or what have you here. I need to even these up just a little bit again here. There we go. Now we're just going to dip this into some clean water. You can use vinegar as well. And we're going to clean the rims on this really well. We don't want any reason at all for these not to seal. New rag every time you do it. This is very hot. And you don't have to debubble these, but I'll just show you how you debubble. I take my finger, dip it down in here in the hot water, and I'm just going to check every ring here. That will help ensure a nice good seal. It's just my little signature thing that I do. It's not going to hurt anything. This gets pressure canned for 45 minutes, so it's going to be fine. Hot simmering water, turn off the heat, and let these sit for about 10 to 12 minutes. And then you just want to put them on. Just like, well, hang on. Sorry, I like my gloves in, okay. And remember, finger tighten, just like that right there. Okay, and here's our mushroom soup. And again, I'm gonna call this cream of mushroom soup because you can add the cream to this, and I certainly, either way is delicious. Either way. Okay, I'm holding my hand probably about 7 to 8 inches off here. I can really feel this column of steam. We're going to time this for 10 minutes. And it's already been 4. And you can see here that this lock pin here is up. Now this is the only time you can really do that. Don't burn yourself on the steam. I got asbestos fingers, so. Alright, and you can see that column of steam. Can you see that? Getting my hand right there? Okay, so when our 10 minutes are up, we're going to set the rocker on just like that right there. Adjust your, just a little bit. And again, we're going to pressure can this at 10 pounds of pressure, and we're going to do these pints for 45 minutes. And we'll see you back here then. Okay, we put on our weight. It's rocking. We've adjusted our temperature down to about number 4 on my glass top. And we set our timer for 45 minutes. Alright, we'll see you back here in 45 minutes. Remember, do not open this. As long as this piece right here is up, do not open it. And when this is done in 45 minutes, I'm going to pick this up immediately and set it over here on a cool burner there. Okay? That'll stop this cooking process because I'm on a glass top. Okay, our pin has dropped. So we can go ahead and take that off. Remember to open this so the steam comes away from your face. You want to pull that lid this way. Ooh, see that steam? Wow. And it's a little chilly out here, so open it like this. We'll let this sit here for about a minute. Check on it. Ooh, nothing leaked. Looks good. Like a bunch of little happy campers in here. Go ahead and give it a tip. Look how beautiful that is. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, and here we are, my cream of mushroom soup. This is Chef and Builder Janie Pendleton. We want to thank you for coming along for the ride on our little homestead. Be sure and share this video. Be sure and give me credit. Let people know that you got this awesome recipe over on my site. Blessings.